people keep asking me all the time, what's going on in the NFL? And I'll just give you the 3 words I say. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what's happened because I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, it's positively insane what is going on. The month began with Tom Brady retired. March 1st, 30 days ago.
He was retired.
Out of football.
Middle of the month. The Ides of March, day before. 14th of March. He unretires.
He's back.
Now it's March 31st, and the Buccaneers are having a press conference to announce Bruce Arians is retiring.
Wow.
I don't know. Again, that's why we're going to have Sam Farmer out here. He and Peter King broke the story together. I don't know. Why would Bruce Arians step down when Tom Brady's coming back? This is the time you stick around. And, why now? This is on the level of sneaking up on you like Tyreek Hill wants out. Like, why does Bruce Arians want out? Well, apparently he decided earlier this month he wants out. I guess now we know why he wasn't in the coach's photo a couple days ago. He was one of the 4 who was missing.
He was.
I don't know.
Good eyes.
I don't know. He could have just already been in a cabana. Knowing him, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. Knowing Bruce Arians.
Couple fingers?
I don't know. And so he's now a senior football consultant for the front office. Todd Bowles, longtime assistant and former Jet coach, one of the greatest humans you can ever meet. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
He's got a 5-year contract now as the new head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you put it all together, and it all comes up with the same. I don't know what's happening anymore. And so I already know what people are saying because one of my people are saying it. You, sir.
Oh, hey, Rich.
You don't buy it.
I don't. It doesn't pass the smell test.
Okay. A lot of people don't buy it. Brady, all sorts of conversation in February that Brady and Arians didn't get along, and that's part of the reason why Brady said goodbye. Right? And retired without saying the word retired. And then he unretires. And now Arians retires. But long enough time in between everything, certainly with Arians coming up with the idea in early March to say he's no longer interested in playing anymore or coaching anymore. And then Bowles not hearing about it until just this past week on Monday, that's just enough time to cover some tracks. Okay? Here. And I guess that means you don't buy Brady's 4-paragraph, multi-paragraph farewell hug on Instagram to Arians, which he posted at Tom Brady, thanking him, a great photograph, and calling him smart, tough, and loyal. Happy you'll spend your much-deserved time with your loving and supporting family. Congratulations on an amazing coaching career, but more importantly, how you positively impacted me and everyone else in the game of football. I mean, these are 3 paragraphs. He didn't pop out there about Bill Belichick when he left or anything like that.
No, a couple years ago. I mean, but I'm just saying that's an easy thing to just have right. I would bet that's been probably written 3 weeks now, and then he was just waiting to hit send.
Or let me just give you the flip side, and we'll get Sam Farmer out here. Bruce Arians is pushing 70. We all know he was here just a couple of years ago talking about how he and his wife were afraid he might drop dead on the sideline. The coaching grind is significant. And he says part of his legacy, an important legacy, is that when he goes out, he gets to decide potentially who gets to take over for him, who gets to succeed him. That I totally believe. You just look at Arians' career, okay? 47 seasons of coaching experience, okay? And in that time, the number of times when he was in charge that he did, in fact, promote some form of diversity or inclusivity is significant. Mm-hmm. Significant. He's the first coach to hire 2 full-time assistant head coaches who are female, which he's done with Tampa. He was the first. Remember, Dr. Jen Welter was the first female coaching intern, which he had back in Arizona. And I understand people will push back and say, well, he's the guy that gave Antonio Brown a job. Well, there are many circumstances surrounding all of that. And he has 11 men of color as assistant head coaches, including Byron Leftwich, his offensive coordinator, who he personally mentioned when he said he was afraid of dropping dead on the sideline, mentioned when he was sitting in that chair that Leftwich was a guy who he would be able to hand the play calling to, because if he ever came back, he'd have to do that. He could not call plays anymore because he's afraid of dropping dead on the sideline. Remember that I had that conversation with him? And I'm like, literally, you're talking about you're afraid of dying on the sideline? You're like, yeah. My wife and I have had that conversation. And so when he does go back to Tampa, guess who's calling the plays? Byron Leftwich. And who's a guy who was not thinking of coaching when Arians called him up and said, I think you can coach. You should do that. And he said, okay. And now look at him. And so he wants to hand the reins to Todd Bowles now. Waited till after March 1st when apparently there didn't have to be some sort of whole hoo-ha in terms of looking for a next head coach. Certainly if the Rooney Rule is merely satisfied by Bowles, and now the rule requires another person of color to be interviewed when you're hired, but I guess not after March 1st. So he gets to decide it's Bowles. And what better time to do it than with Brady's last year of coaching? And I'm assuming Brady had to know about this, which goes back to your point, Chris, that he wanted Arians out.
Brady ordered the code red.
Well, we're going to ask about all of that. But everything does seem to fall neatly into place as well. And I guess, does it even matter?
Nope.
If he wanted Arians out? Because he is back. And he made his announcement in time for all of his teammates who wanted to come back in terms of free agency to come back, with the exception of, I guess, Alex Kappa. Although Ndamukong Suh did tweet out today, congratulations on Arians leaving, and for a team that's one big man short of shy right now, as I guess he's not signed yet. I think he was one of the last two signed last year as well. Mm-hmm. Congrats to Todd Bowles on becoming head coach of a great team that still feels one man light on talent. Sue tweeted out today.
That's a great tweet.
With the googly eyes that Kyle Brandt loves so much. So the narrative, in my mind, fits. I know for you it still doesn't, and for a lot of people out there. But I guess when it all comes down to it, it doesn't matter, okay? Because Leftwich is still the guy calling plays, and Bowles is still a guy who is a leader of men and terrific. And I think, obviously.
And the Bucs are going to be one of the Super Bowl favorites. And that's the only thing that matters.
Exactly. Yeah. And congratulations to Todd Bowles, who spent all those years with the Jets, getting his ass kicked by Brady. And now he gets to actually coach Tom Brady. Which is, again, Arians' gift going out the door. Being the guy who can do this for Todd Bowles and pulling the trigger, which is part of Arians' legacy, on top of being a damn good, successful grinder of a coach. 47 seasons of coaching experience. 47. Okay? He started coaching with Bear Bryant back in the day. He went to Temple, we all know. We all know this is his third retirement, right? Mm-hmm. One's from Arizona, now one from Tampa, and one from, in quotes, Pittsburgh. Remember that?
Yes.
When they said he was retired, and
he told
us on our podcast version of the show, from which this show is born out of. So this is like 10 years ago. He said he was driving home, right? Driving south with his wife, and the phone rang while they're in the car, and it was Chuck Pagano from the Colts. And he said his wife cursed because they thought she thought this would be it, and the coaching career would be over, and she just knew. I think the story was, you're going to take this job, aren't you?
She knew.
Well, certainly if it's like, hey, how'd you like to coach Andrew Luck?
Yeah.
He coached Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, because he was with the Colts previously, Big Ben from his Steelers days, Brady, Carson Palmer. How about this fact? He's one of only 6 coaches to win multiple Coach of the Year awards. Multiple. Okay? His first being, by the way, an interim. He won Coach of the Year when he was the interim when Chuck Pagano had to step aside due to his health concerns. So he's the only one on the list to have that part of the equation. But the only coach in the history of the NFL to win Coach of the Year twice and win a Super Bowl. The other 5 are named Belichick, Parcells, Gibbs, Ditka, and Don Shula. It goes Parcells, Belichick, Gibbs, Ditka, Shula, Arians. Way to go, BA. And we're going to miss him. Oh, my God, are we going to miss him in the press conferences? Because everything that he is with the media, Todd Bowles is most certainly not. And just Arians, just this past, week, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, it feels like 3 years ago because March is everything all jammed into 1 month in the NFL, 2022. At the Combine, remember that? When people are like, yeah, Brady, the rumor at the Combine was Brady was thinking of coming back, but not for the Bucs because who the hell is Bruce Arians? And there's apparently, some friction there, and he denied that vehemently. And then in terms of the idea, if he wants to come back and play for the 49ers, he's like, yeah, that basically that would cost multiple first-round picks, and it's not happening anyway. And everyone's like, well, it's not your decision. And maybe kind of it was because in his mind, he was heading to the front office where he currently is and will be. Hey, you watched all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Watch more right here.